All right, I'm not talking about 7.2, guys. I'm talking about just the changes that are happening tomorrow for PvP. So if I do it like this, it kind of covers some of it. But either way, we'll start with Death Knights. I don't actually even know what this is. I guess it's one of their diseases. It's being unchanged in PvP anyway, so this is just a PvE change. You don't need to worry about this for PvP. Also unchanged in PvP, which kind of surprises me because I feel like Gargoyle actually doesn't do much damage at all. It feels like it used to be a really powerful cooldown, and in PvP, man, I swear it hits like a noodle. So either way, they're buffing it in PvE. Pretty irrelevant for PvP. Um, these are all PvE changes. So PvP changes for Death Knight. Dark Sim down to 25 seconds from 30. I don't see that being that big of a deal. I'm not even sure what is in the. I'm not even sure what's in the tree with Dark Sim. I know it's a specific PvP talent. I don't know if DKs are happy about this change. If they're just kind of like meh, anything's a buff's a buff, right? You see it being used sometimes, but yeah. I mean, I guess it is what it is, right? A buff's a buff. Blood Death Knights no longer deal reduced damage in PvP situations. This should be basically irrelevant. I don't think Blood Death Knights are gonna kind of come to the top. Crypt Fever, excuse me, is one of the talents that I've been you know, kind of annoyed by lately. Crypt Fever just basically does damage with I think a 1 second ICD anytime anyone's ever healed. So 15% less damage on that. This is normally their top damage in a game. So this is actually a really significant nerf. I think Death Knights are actually going to feel that one. Um, and I'm not sure if Death Knights are still going to be good. I think Death Knights are good. I don't know if they're actually like tier 1 on the ladder or anything, or if they have like tier 1 comps and stuff, but Crypt Fever was definitely a really broken mechanic. If Death Knights kind of fall behind because Crypt Fever isn't powerful enough to carry them, I definitely want to see them be compensated in other ways. I don't want Death Knights to be bad, but just because they're not doing so well, I guess, in terms of in terms of how good they are, doesn't mean they should have like kind of broken silly mechanics. So I think Crypt Fever was one of those ones that definitely needed to be targeted, but if they're not doing well, I think they should definitely be compensated. All right, this is one of the PvP talents I think really needed to be kind of toned down. Nourish now reduces the cast time of Healing Touch by zero point 0.2 seconds, was 0.5 seconds, so. Wait, what? Okay. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, it only reduces it by zero point 0.2 seconds now. It used to be zero point 0.5 seconds. I think Nourish is the talents in combination with like Abundance or something that made Resto Druids super efficient. It made their heals like unbelievably powerful. And it looks like all of them got nerfed. And this was actually insane. I didn't actually know this, but Nourish was also doing the full heal of regrowth. I thought it only put up the hot. So this is one of the reasons why Nourish was so powerful. So it's going to be a slower cast time. It's not going to do the initial heal of regrowth. So basically, regrowth and healing touch were being put into the same heal, which is absolutely crazy. Um, and I think this is one of the main reasons why Resto Druids were the top healer right now. So with these two being nerfed, I think the talent should still be good. Like healing touches should still be pretty fast. Um, your healing touches won't do the initial heal of regrowth, but they'll still put up like all the extra hots and stuff. Um, these two definitely needed to be nerfed. I thought this is one that may have been overlooked by Blizzard. I'm really happy that they kind of saw this as a problem. Abundance now reduces the cast time of Healing Touch by 5% from Rejuve instead of 10%. So healing touches are going to be slower. It's not going to be those, if you're an old school PvP, or those Feldom healing touches. Feldom was a zero point 0.5 second cast back in the day. Those were really hard to interrupt. So I'm really happy that Blizzard didn't overlook this one. I think this was really powerful. Definitely, in my opinion, needed some change. Fix the bug with Nature's Essence that failed to heal on Wild Growth cast in PvP. I think this is an artifact talent. I'm not sure how important that is. Survival Hunters were one of the classes that actually been nerfed recently, I think in the last PvP balance patch. Really surprised to see them getting nerfed again. I thought personally that they were still pretty powerful. I think one of the hardest comps I fought in 3v3 was Unholy Death Knight Survival Hunter, and to see both those classes changed, kind of puts a smile on my face. Obviously, hunters may not necessarily agree. But so Call Traps now deals 20% less damage in PvP and reduces movement speed by 50% instead of 70. That's really powerful. The PvP template has been reduced by another 2.5% agility, that is. And That's a pretty significant nerf. I actually didn't even read the Marksman and BM Hunter ones because I didn't really care about the spec, but some people think Marksman is going to be really powerful in PvP, so let's take a look at this. Healing Shell now heals for its full value in PvP. I actually have no idea what that is. Aim Shot now deals additional 5% PvP situations, so that's a damage buff. Agility is increased by 5%. That's a damage buff. Haste been increased by 15%. That's a damage buff. Mastery's been increased by 33%. That's a damage buff. Armor hasn't been increased by 20%. That's actually a really interesting one. I don't think I've seen an armor increase this entire expansion. So these all look like some pretty significant damage buffs. I don't actually know how good Marksman is right now, but when you see numbers like this, it kind of scares me. Mastery, haste, agility, and oh, haste reduced. Oh, haste reduced. Okay, I misread that. All right, this makes it a hard read for me. I don't know how good haste is for Marksman. I'm really bad at like weighing the stats. So I don't actually know what this is gonna do. I don't actually play Hunter, so this is hard. This is hard for me to determine. I think this is probably still gonna be a pretty significant buff, with 5% agility, 33% mastery. I think mastery probably outweighs haste on most classes. Maybe not like some of the caster ones that have like dots and shit, but this is probably still a decent buff for Marksman. Marksman's like, for me in PvP, it's kind of frustrating to play against. It feels like it has the most CC out of all the hunters. You can avoid the freezing arrow with the cast time, but it is still pretty quickly. But they still have like that scatter shot type mechanic, so it's kind of tricky to avoid sometimes. But yeah, Marksman may be the go-to spec next patch. I'm not actually 100% sure. So going on to BM, agility increased by 5%, obviously a damage buffed. Haste increased by 30%. Versatility increased by 25%. Mastery reduced by 25%. Critical strike reduced by 30%. And once again, armor being increased by 20%. Weird that they increased armor for Beast Mastery and Marksman, but not for Survival. That feels strange to me. I guess they think that these two specs maybe just need a little bit more survivability against melee. I'm not really sure what these secondary stats are going to do. So haste and verse have been increased, which is also, damage reduction on top of the armor increase. But mastery and crit have been reduced, and I feel like these are actually better than haste and verse. So my guess is like their secondary stats got worse, but their total agility, which is their overall damage, got buffed. This might just be a slight damage buff. Not 100% sure. This is just, to me, this is just kind of really hard to read because secondary stats are normally really clunky, especially if you don't know how they work. Personally, I thought fire mages had a little bit too much survivability in PvP, so Cauterizing Blink's heal has been reduced by 33% in PvP situations. Every time they blinked, I think they got a hot, or maybe it was just like an instant heal. So that's going to be kind of toned down a little bit in PvP by 33%. That's actually a pretty significant buff. Intellect and Stamina has been reduced by 5% in PvP, so they're going to do a little bit less damage. They're going to have a little bit less health, so the Stamina being reduced by 5% I think also hurts Cauterizing Blink's heal, because I think it's like a percentage of your HP or whatever, so kind of a double nerf on that. So these seem like decent changes to me. I think fire mages weren't like absolutely crazy, so like a small number like 5%. Probably won't kind of nerf it into the ground or whatever, but the Stamina and the Cauterizing Blink heal I think will probably make it much more easier to kill, But yeah, it's not going to be like crazy in my opinion. Just like the duration of like a long game, that Blink heal probably does quite a bit. So yeah, I don't think fire mages are broken or anything. Maybe they did a little bit too much damage. So yeah, damage just nerfed a little bit. 5% is actually a pretty reasonable number. We'll see. I don't think they'll be terrible. These are actually really big nerfs to Holy Paladin, excuse me. This seems like actually a really big nerf to Holy Paladin. I personally don't think Holy Paladins were in like a crazy spot right now or anything. And now Avenging Crusader ignores line of sight when healing. So if you're behind the pillar, or if your partners are in front of the pillar, or whatever's going on, Avenging Crusader is not actually going to heal. Which seems to me that which seems to me that it's going to be really tough. That's a buff. Avenging Crusader once again ignores line of sight. Oh, it ignores line of sight. Oh. So it wasn't working. Okay, so they reversed it. So, okay. I see, I see. So on live right now, if someone... Okay, okay. So they actually fixed it. It was bugged on live. It was bugged on live, and now it's working again. All right. Is that one of the reasons why Holy Pallies were really behind right now? It's hard to say. That makes sense. So yeah, okay. This is actually a pretty big buff. I guess it was maybe they changed it or maybe it was bugged, but that'll be working as intended again. I misread that. Avenging Crusader will now cause Judgment and Crusader Strike to heal, even if their damage is absorbed. This is a huge buff in my opinion. This actually made Priest teams one of the hardest teams to actually, heal against just because how powerful shields were. If you did like a Judgment into a shield, it would heal your whole team for nothing instead of getting like your whole team for 300k or whatever. So this is a really, really powerful buff. This is something that I absolutely can get behind. I never said it out loud, but when fighting Priest teams, I felt like it was something that wouldn't be that big of a deal in my opinion. I guess it sucks for a Priest because there's some sort of counterplay, but in the same process, like, you just kind of press shield on cooldown. You don't really, like, oh, shielding this Judgment right here. So I guess there was maybe a small amount of counterplay if you really thought that deep into it, but I like this a lot. I'm really happy about that change. Fix a bug that caused spreading the word to make Blessing of Freedom trigger cleanses cooldown. Fix the bug that caused spreading the word to make Blessing of Freedom trigger cleanses cooldown. I actually don't even know what that is. Hold on one second. I actually don't know what this is. Fix a bug that caused spreading the word for holy. I don't know what spreading the word is. Let me take a look at this. I think I might know what it is. Actually, I don't know. Let me take a look here. Spreading the word. I thought it was maybe that. Oh, spreading the word. No one uses this. Okay, so this is kind of a pointless change. Would trigger cleanses cooldown. What does this even do? Your affected allies. Your allies affected by an R gain an effect that causes your Blessing of Freedoms. Wait, this actually isn't that bad. Wait. But no one uses this, so this is basically irrelevant. I don't even know. That's a weird change. Like I don't know why it was causing cleanse to trigger cooldown, but this should basically be irrelevant unless for some reason this is used in RBGs. But even then, I don't know. I can't imagine this being used in RBGs. This is an irrelevant change. Yo, Retribution with the big buffs right here. Template strength's been increased by 3%. I guess it's just a small buff. They thought Rep Pallies were just underperforming by a little bit. Rep Pallies actually do quite a bit of damage after playing with myself. I don't think that their damage is overpowered. I don't think that this 3% is going to change the metagame or anything. I was actually shocked to see this change. This change to me made it seem that Blizzard was actually so aware with how powerful like these two in combination were. Like this change to me just Blizzard actually just knows what's going on in my opinion. This change to me was just crazy. So right now I don't know if you play against Holy Priest or excuse me Discipline Priest a lot, but Discipline Priest actually do a shit ton of healing and it feels like their mana is kind of the only thing that's keeping them back right now in my opinion. They're just kind of on a short battery and everyone knows that Holy Radiance, is that what it's called? Or Power Word Radiance is like their main heal. It's instant cast. It heals their entire team. But the downfall of the heal is that it's supposed to cost a lot of mana. So you have insane throughput for kind of like short-term mana span or whatever. And if you put that in combination with Inner Renewal and you constantly cast it on yourself and it was reduced by 50%, it kind of feels like your mana battery was a little bit too long. So they nerfed just Holy Word Radiance with what's it called? Inner Renewal, which is actually, to me, this is just such a shocking change. I was really surprised to see this one, and I'm actually really happy to see it. I think Disc Priest maybe would like more longevity for less throughput, but I don't know. I guess in that case you could just not use Holy Word Radiance. You can try and cast more, but what the hell is throughput? Throughput is like the amount of healing that you can put out. But yeah. All right, so assassination. Everyone kind of knew assassination nerfs were coming. I was pretty happy with what I've seen with the assassination nerfs. I don't actually know what this is. Fix the bug that caused deadly bruise, additional free wound poison effect to increase King's Bane damage. Don't know what that is. If it was a bug, something just wasn't working as intended. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. Poison bomb damage has been reduced by 30% in PvP. Poison bomb to me is something that's just super frustrating because it's just RNG. Sometimes poison bomb will proc at a really bad time. You could be in a kidney shot. You might make it out. Poison bomb procs, you die. I don't think they can change the way poison bomb works in terms of RNG. I think it's still going to proc, at random times. But the damage reduction, considering how strong poison bomb is in PvP, I think this was a really solid change. I was really surprised to see this, not because it wasn't obvious that it was broken, just because I thought maybe Blizzard would be too stubborn to change it. So when I saw this, I was actually really happy. Everyone kind of knows that Assassination had the best Mortal Strike effect in the game. If you don't know what Mortal Strike is, it's just the old school way of saying healing reduction debuff. So the healing reduction effect's been put to 20% instead of 25%. And then when you use Master Poisoner, which everyone uses, it goes to 24%. So their MS is actually now worse than, I guess, like Hunters and Arms Warriors. And even if they spec into Master Poisoner, which I think they still will, it's still a little bit worse. So, yeah. I was really happy to see this change. I think this will just put them kind of on par with the other Mortal Strike classes. Honestly, I think Assassination may end up getting buffed after taking these hits. So Poison Bomb got 30%. Oh, shit. Agility got 5%. And then with the Mortal Strike debuff being weaker, which I think is the strongest point in the spec, it might actually end up getting buffed again. Just like maybe they'll give them a couple percent agility back, or maybe unnerf the Poison Bomb thing. But all three of these wait, what? No, it heals through walls now. It's a buff. Wait, what? Oh, are you talking about this? I think it might be super delayed. But yeah, okay, so Assassination might have actually gotten over nerfed. Elemental. I think Elemental was pretty weak in PvP. They got over nerfed pretty hard last patch, so Intellect and Stamina has been increased by 5%. I think that's pretty solid. I don't know if that's going to be enough. I don't know if that's going to be enough to bring them back on par, but I think they definitely got over nerfed last patch. A lot of people have been talking about these Enhancement Shaman changes. I don't play Enhancement in PvP, so it's kind of hard for me to say, but I think one of the biggest problems with Enhancement is that I guess people kind of get globaled by Storm Strike with like procs and Bloodlust and stuff, so what they did was they nerfed Storm Strike damage by a little bit. Then they buffed the agility by a shit ton, which is going to make all of their damage better, and it's probably going to not only counteract the Storm Strike damage nerf, but it's probably end up being a buff. And then they actually gave him 5% more stamina. So I feel like they were a little weak defensively, which, stamina is going to help. I don't know if agility still gives armor and dodge. That's super old school. So maybe this is like a little bit more survivability, but yeah. So they gave him a little bit of stamina. They gave him a lot of agility. 10% agility buff is actually very, very, very significant. Enhancement Shaman actually might just be insane next patch. Looking at this, they still might be a little weak defensively because a 5% stamina buff might not really cover the flaws that they have. But I think Enhancement Shaman is definitely one of the classes to look out for. Like I said earlier, I thought Demo Warlocks were still really powerful. So you could kind of see that Demo Warlock Enhancement Shaman that we played at BlizzCon come back or make a comeback. So Enhancement Shamans are looking really good. Arms Warriors, I think everyone kind of wanted Arms Warrior to get some love. I think everyone was kind of playing Fury as of lately, but Strength and Stamina increased by 5%, very solid. Another armor change. That's really weird. These are such strange changes to me. I guess maybe they were taking a little bit too much damage from melee classes, and they didn't really like that, so they got a little bit of armor. And versatility increased by 17%. So wow, they actually gained a lot of offense right there. 17%. Oh, okay, that's not it. It's multiplicative. It's not additive. So I don't know what the base versatility for Arms Warrior is. Does anyone know? Oh, I skipped Resto Shaman. Hold on. I'll go back to that. These are actually really small changes. I don't know what the base versatility for Arms Warrior is. It's probably really small, but It's not additive, it's just multiplicative. So it's 17%. Um, it's 17% more than what it's already at, which is probably like 20% or something. So it's really really small. Let me queue a game on Resto Shaman real quick. I think Resto Shaman versatility is like 10 or 12%. So a 30% buff to that 10 or 12% is only like 3%. So it's not like it's not going to 30%, it's not getting added by 30%. It's just an extra 30% on what you already have, which is really really small. I'm just gonna queue a skirmish real quick just to show you guys. But yeah, this looks like a really insane buff, but it's not. It's really not. Let me see. I mean, it buffs a buff. Like I'm not complaining about it. I'm not upset about it. But just so you guys know, it's not like your versatility is just gonna get increased to 30%. It's probably just gonna be like instead of 10%, 13% or something, which is okay. So yeah, this isn't that crazy a buff.